All right, well, here we go. The day has finally arrived. Kind of been procrastinating, actually. This package showed up at least a week and a half ago. And all I did was cut the tape and look inside. I literally haven't even pulled anything out or looked at it yet. So this is still totally the unboxing. And I've been waiting for this since like April or May or something like that when Neotec first said they were coming out with it. So yeah, anyway, so this is the new NH8120, the clone of the Husqvarna 3120, which I don't know if y'all know much about them, but it is basically the largest saw made. I think it's right around 120 cc's, but Husqvarna's equivalent of Still's 880. And I mean, generally these are only used for milling or the rare occasions that there's large enough trees left on earth to actually use a saw this big to cut them. But they do work excellent for an Alaskan sawmill. And that's primarily what people these days use them for. Gotta make sure that I've got my proper work attire on. Thank you, Neotec. Love these guys and the products that they make. So yeah, enough with the introduction. Of course, you guys probably haven't seen too many videos of mine, but I am Painted Sky Warrior. This is my shop, and in addition to just being a dealer for Neotec and FarmerTech, I also have my own saw shop, which I've primarily just done Still chainsaws over the last how many years. But I repair Husqvarnas and Echoes, Pilon, whatever anybody's got. If it's a chainsaw, I can fix it. But yeah, so this is Working Warrior Saws. That's our saw shop here. Pretty much just me, one-man operation. But let's take a look inside and see what we got. I don't know how that works, but these guys always do a pretty damn good job of packaging their products. I haven't really had any issues with any damage or anything in shipping. Looks like the dog has got an extra bit of foam padding around them to keep those safe. All the accessories that they love to include for us. Earmuffs, you know, safety first. A little mixing pot. I never use those, they're just too small. Safety glasses. We have the pair of gloves. Of course, the bar cover, which is kind of funny because these are great. I love having these on my saws to protect the bar and chain. And you don't actually need it the full length of it, mostly just as long as it covers the tip. So then if it does hit the ground or the back of your truck or whatever else, it's just preventing those teeth from getting dinged up. But these are good things to have. The ever-present tool pouches, which this is one of the things that I've always felt that Still should have. You know, they don't give you tools. You know, you go buy a $1,200, $1,500, $18,000, $2,000 chainsaw, you'd think that they could throw you in, you know, what with this is like $20 worth of tools or something from Neotec, and so of course, you know, you're looking at like, I don't know, $300 for the Still version of this. But come on, you know, let's be real. Looks like it's got the other felling dog in there. Little tuning screwdriver. I like these long ones. Standard tool pouch. Couple extras for the 8120. And here we go. Ooh, this thing is a beast. We'll pull out the scale. I got the scale over here so we can set it on there and get a dry weight of just the power head. But let's just get this bubble wrap off and take a look at this beauty. Holy. Oh, wow. Hope you guys got a good angle from there. I'm not even gonna apologize. Photography and videography and cinematography and blah, 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 all that stuff has never been a big priority for me. I've rarely documented any of the work that I do. But people keep requesting it, and everybody wants to see what I do here in the shop, and people really actually appreciate getting videos and pictures and stuff of their saws and of them running and whatnot before I ship them out. And this was just a really good opportunity to help advertise and promote these new products that are coming out from Neotec. Unfortunately, I have never actually owned one of these. Well, like the original, the Husqvarna 3120. I mean, I don't know, it's probably $2,000 to $3,000 or something. Never been in my budget, and I've honestly never had a reason or a need for a saw this large. I do use saws for milling. I do quite a lot of milling, and down here where I live in Northern California, we have a lot of big oak trees, and so I get some really, really nice oak slabs. But I just use a double-ended bar on the Alaskan sawmill, and I run two 660s, and these are the Farmat clones. But I swear by the twin sawmill. If anybody's gonna run a sawmill and do a lot of milling, it's so much easier on the power heads when you have two. That synergy or whatever, it's way less work on each saw, and then you also have oiling at both ends of the bar, so both of those power heads are actively oiling that bar. So you don't need to put an auxiliary oiler on there. And I mean, of course, they're both pressurized, so it's a mechanical gear pump that's pushing that oil into the bar. So it just keeps it really well lubricated. Never having any issues with it. And then you got the weight balance, so you don't have all the weight of the power head on one end of your bar and that you're holding up pushing. And it's so easy when you get a little hand crank winch on there and you've got both power heads running. I mean, it just walks itself down the log and it cuts so fast and so smooth. It's practically as smooth as a bandsaw. But I digress. Let's get away from the sawmilling and let's take a look at this beauty. So, from what I've seen of the 3120s, this is really like an exact clone. I basically same everything right down to the badge that they got on there, the riveted badge. Looks like same exact muffler cover. I mean, all of it looks like a clone to the T. I mean, this is really, really well thought out, well assembled. But let's take it up. Let's break it down. Let's get inside here and take a look at it. I always like to pull these things off first thing. They'll just get in the way. I don't even think I'm gonna fire it up today. I literally think that I'm just gonna take it apart. I would say assemble it. And I should probably assemble it first and then take it apart, right? So the assembly is not much. Most of these saws that you get from them, it's very little actual assembly that you need to do. Generally, if you're getting a larger saw, it's usually putting the handle on. If it's a full wrap handle, you almost always have to put that on, but this one already came with the handle on. And then other than that, it's just the brake, which these Husqvarnas, you know, they come with their brake integrated into the clutch cover. So that's pretty straightforward right there. That's make sure the brake is off, which it is, and then put that right on. But before we do that, we'll go ahead and slap that other felling dog on there. Looks like the other screws are already in place for it, so likely we'll just have to pull those out and then throw this felling dog right on there. Looks like pretty nice felling dogs too. These are pretty aggressive felling dogs. If you use these for milling, you just pull them off. I never use felling dogs on the saws that I'm milling with. But if you're gonna be cutting any trees or even firewood, the dogs are really handy. They're nice to have. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't actually know if I even have a bar for this. I have bars for the 880, but I'll have to double check and see if I've got a bar for this. If it's a standard Husqvarna bar, then I most definitely do. But if they made a special bar just for the 3120, I will not actually have one of those on hand. But let's go ahead and get these out. Looks like we got 3 screws that are going to hold this felling dog in place. 2 of them just on the crankcase, and then 1 of them that actually goes on the front vibration dampener. I do have power tools, and I use them sometimes, especially if I'm in a hurry, you know, if I'm in production mode. But right now I'm kind of just enjoying this, so I'm definitely not in a hurry. Looks pretty straightforward. Holes are practically perfectly lined up. Gotta appreciate that. All 3 of these screws are different, so you should take note of that when you're taking it apart, but also it's kind of hard to mix them up because they are all 3 different, and they all 3 serve different purposes and go in different locations. So pretty straightforward. Hard to confuse them with each other when you're putting them back together. I don't use Loctite on these. I probably will at some point go through all of the screws on here and put some blue Loctite. I usually have a bottle of it around, just on the ones that definitely get a lot of vibration and are likely to loosen up over time. But it's definitely not necessary right now. Okay. A little bit of resistance there. Looks like, oh, there we go. That just slips that in. Pretty straightforward. I will come back later and see if that standard Husqvarna bar will fit. Otherwise I'm gonna have to go snag one for the 3120. And it's great that these guys always include all the tools that you need, but there definitely are some better, more convenient tools out there. I recently just picked up a couple of these ratchet scrunches. This is the V3, the version 3 of them. And I do really like these. They are convenient. They do have a shallower socket system in there. So when you're working with like the full wrap handles and that second bar nut, that rear bar nut is back right underneath that handle, it's a lot easier to get one of these in there than your standard ones. I have taken a couple of my tools, I'm not sure if I have an example, oh yeah, and cut them short just to make it easier to get in there and access that. But these work pretty good for that. The one thing that I was a little bit disappointed about these is I personally feel like they're slightly too short. You can't really tell, but it is just about half an inch shorter or so than these standard wrenches. The ones that I really like are the ones that from Still, and they're probably 2 or 3 inches longer. The issue with that is that when you get back there and you're trying to tighten it down, where you're holding onto it, your hand is going to be right in front of your felling dogs. And if you're like pushing on it or trying to open up on it, it's so easy to just stab your fingers on those dogs. The stock dogs tend not to be the issue, but when you're looking at the like the West Coast saws in particular, I customized this one. This is the Farmac version, but the Neotec F372. So the 372 XP clone. And theirs, I mean, these are CNC cut out of high carbon steel. These suckers are razor sharp, and when you're prying on those nuts and your fingers are literally right next to those, it's so dangerous. I wish that they had made these a couple inches longer, and they're pretty skinny too. I mean, it's like a little tiny pencil. I feel like it's a kid's tool instead of a heavy duty man tool, but whatever. Here I am getting off topic again. These are fantastic. They do work really good. The fact that they ratchet, you know, it makes it so much quicker just to get that secured on there. And I never tighten these all the way down when I don't have a bar in place. There's that gap in there that's the thickness of a bar, and you probably could crack these if you just kept cranking it down without having a bar in place. But just enough to hold it is all. There's the brake. That's good to go. And there she is. I mean, that's it. Like, so what do? We put the felling dog on there and the chain brake clutch cover combo. And there it is, fully assembled. So yeah, I figure we ought to just open it up a little bit, take a look at it, some of the components, and really get into this so we can see what's all in there. After all, this is my first time actually seeing one of these saws other than online or in videos. So just go ahead and pop this air cleaner cover off first. See what we've got inside here. Okay. Looks like they've actually got a top cover on there. It's a pretty nice looking filter. Very solid, very heavy duty filter. That is quite the carb assembly. I have never seen one like that. That is going to pull in a lot of air, and it may take just a little bit more time to get in there to check it out. A couple of things that I tend always to do with any clone saw that I get, no matter who it comes from, is do a compression test on it. I mean, I pretty much open them all up and take a look at them all and just verify that things are assembled the way they ought to be before they leave my shop. And I found some issues. It's not uncommon for there to be some errors in assembly, but those are usually super quick to take care of. And that is honestly, if you have a good local dealer in your area that carries these, it might be, definitely not going to guarantee and definitely not going to say it's always that way, but it might be a better option to go talk to them and pick one up from them, because usually, and I am only actually speaking from my experience and other associates who work with me. But usually they go through the saws to make sure that it's in good working order before they send it out the door. And that would be like, you know, just the basic check, the spark plug, the carburetor tuning, and that's, you know, putting the fuel mix, your gas and 2-cycle mix in it, and putting the bar oil in it, and making sure that it's properly oiling the chain, making sure that it starts up and runs like it should, that it's tuned properly, and of course you can't break these in first because they say you got to run like 5 or 6 tanks of fuel through it, at, you know, whatever it is, 25, 30, 35 to 1, depending on the saw, before you go back and switch to your regular 40 to 1 or 50 to 1. But you can make sure that it's proper, the carburetor is properly tuned to that that ratio. So that's one thing that I always do for every saw that I send out. I make sure the oiler's working for the bar and chain. I make sure that it's properly tuned. And that's just some really basic stuff. So if you do have a local dealer in your area, check them out. They won't always give you the sale price that's happening online. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that we have to pay shipping to get the saws shipped to us. And then we probably also spend half an hour on that saw to make sure that it's in good working order before it goes out the door. So you might not always get the cheaper price that you'll find online, but you're pretty much guaranteed to get a saw that is going to fire up and run and not have any issues. So anyway, this is quite a motor on there. That is quite a cylinder. It's pretty solid. I'm still fascinated by this carburetor in there. Very interested in getting a better look at that. One of the things that I love so much about these clone saws is that since they're all the older models that they're cloned, you can still tune these yourself. I have several of the new saws, and I just don't like the auto tune, the M-tronic, the auto tune, whatever they all want to call it these days. I'm just not a fan of that. And, you know, for a lot of people, it's probably more convenient. But to me, it's like the difference of having a manual transmission or an automatic. And most everybody nowadays has opted for the convenience of the automatic transmission. But the manuals are so much more capable. And I feel the same way about the auto tune. Like, yeah, most scenarios, auto tune is going to work just fine. But if you are running your own mixes, if you are operating at different elevations, etc., there's a convenience for that auto tune because generally it should just automatically adjust to whatever conditions you have. But then you can never actually dial it in perfectly just the way you want. And so I really like having the ability to adjust the high and low jets on the carb and the idle. So there's that. I think that I'm going to have to do a complete breakdown video of this, but I kind of just wanted to open it up and take a look at it. And I'm really actually impressed by what I see. It looks very, very well put together. They did a good job with this. Of course, the real test of that is going to be firing it up and seeing how it runs. Making that first cut, it's going to be exciting. So yeah, let me just throw this back on. I just wanted to get a quick peek on the inside. See what all the excitement is in there. And definitely going to have to do a little more thorough job and dig deeper in there, but just wanted to take a quick peek under the hood. Can't help it when you get a new car. You gotta get in there and peek around a little bit and see what's really making the magic happen. All the holes seem to line up nicely. Don't have to force anything or put too much pressure on the plastic. It just goes right into place. It's always a good sign. One thing that I change out on almost every one of these saws, I mean, definitely the ones that I'm running myself, but also I leave it as an option for almost every one of my customers, is to swap out their pull cords with the Elastostart version. There's a couple different versions of them. Highway makes a really nice one. It's a pretty good quality. Most of the ones that I get though are the actual still Elastostart ones. This one on this Farmac F372, that's the highway version. And I mean, I personally think that they're almost identical in terms of quality with the still one. And they're definitely a lot cheaper. They're a lot more affordable, and should last just as long. But it makes it so much easier on your shoulder starting it. Like that extra inch or so of stretch that you get out of that elastic in there, that rubber, it makes that crank so much easier and so much less jarring on your shoulder. And not such a big deal on the little tiny saws, but when you start pulling on one of these big boys, especially one that's got a lot of compression, you're gonna feel it in your shoulder. So I will definitely be swapping out this pull card with the elastic version. We'll probably do that on the next round, on the takedown and the rebuild, and then when I actually run this and start making some cuts, you guys you'll see what I mean. And some people like the big handle ones, the big loop, the D handle. I don't like those. I think it's like, oh, I don't know. I kind of call it like the short bus syndrome on the chainsaw. It makes me feel like I'm starting a boat motor or a log splitter or something like that. I really don't think they have any place on a chainsaw. But to each their own. I'll go with the Elastostart, and if people like those D handle ones, more power to them. This is a really good fit on that. That's definitely one of the things that has impressed me about this company, is that their fit and finish is usually pretty good. It's definitely not one of the things that I get any complaints about from customers. They do a good job with their engineering, and all of their molded parts and stuff. They seem to be really good, really proper fit. So I like that. A couple of features on this saw that that I've never actually seen before, and kind of nice. So this right here is a manual oiler. So if you are milling and you're running an extra long bar, this is going to be super convenient, because if you ever feel like your bar is getting dry at all, you can just put an extra squirt of oil right onto there, And I think that's a great idea. It's a really good thing to have on there. Especially one with a motor this big where you are potentially running a 6, 7, even 8-foot bar on it. So I like that feature. I'm going to have to check it out a little bit more when I do the teardown and see exactly how it's operating. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, I really hope you got a kick out of this video. And we'll get the next one ready for you guys so you can actually see it a little bit more of the details, get her opened up for you, and you guys can see what's really making this girl kick. And then eventually we'll get to round 3 and have her fired up and show you what she can do buried in a log. So yeah, well, thank you very much for watching. Again, I'm Painted Sky Warrior. This is the Working Warrior Saw Shop, and we're a very, very happy dealer of Neotec and Farm Mac saws and products. So thank you, Neotec.
What's
What's up, bud?
the time?